So today, and then we got Ecam. Ecam's always doing fun things. So today we got a guest, man. My guy Gabe Kunda, which I'm super excited to sit down and chop it up with because the dude is killing it, man. This dude has found a way to somehow monetize his voice, and it's incredible. So Gabe Kunda, if you don't know who he is, I'm sure you've heard him on your television in some way, shape, or form because he's done stuff for Disney, Marvel. He's the voice of KO on the video game Valorant. He's done some stuff on the new Batman movie, West Side Story, Encanto, Subway, Toyota. Like, the dude is working. So super excited to have him. So without further ado, man, let's introduce my guy, Gabe Kunda. What's good, bro?
What's going on, man? I appreciate you having me on the show.
Man, I appreciate you taking the time to hang out, man, and be on the show. So I guess tell
Absolutely.
the people a little bit about you, man, and what you do in this space of being a voice actor and man, just like a voiceover guru.
Yeah, voiceover go. That's high claims, man. High claims. No, I am voice actor, born and raised in Dallas, Texas. My love for voiceover started when I was a sophomore in high school. I just fell upon this video called $1,000,000 Voices on YouTube. You guys should check it out if you have any interest on what voiceover is. And it had some of the greatest voice actors of our time. One of them was Don LaFontaine, who is the movie trailer guy you used to hear on everything. He's no longer with us. He's passed away since I think 2008, but he was like the Don. It's very fitting for his name.
Yeah.
And that changed my entire trajectory when it came to what I wanted to do in my life. Already a sophomore. I was studying music education, and that was a passion of mine. And I've been doing that all my life in vocal arranging and just kind of being in the world of vocal music. But I chased after voiceover, and it wasn't until really like college I got the opportunity to either like go to a full ride, like 2-year program for audio radio production in Indiana, or I could go get this music education degree, which was also kind of paying a hefty scholarship for 4 years.
Yeah.
And so I kind of had to make a decision of like, okay, like I don't necessarily need a degree to do voiceover, but I do need a degree to teach music. And that's what my passion was, to educate kids on music, be in the choral world, and have my own program and assemble that. So I chose music, went down that route. And as I was there, I was trying to do everything I could in terms of like voiceover and music at the same time.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm studying music in school, but voiceover wasn't as readily available. So, like, anytime a church needed announcements or they needed like just whatever, mom and pop shops needed their voice message or whatever, I did it. I was like, I'll do it. And then I would find some jobs online and audition for jobs online, and I'd start to actually book some stuff. And started to make a little bit of some money, $600 here, $500 here. And as a college kid, it is absolutely, I mean, it's raining.
Yeah.
It's pouring,
Yeah.
when it comes to the money that you're making, even it's $300, $400, it's great.
In
And
college, yeah.
so, yeah, exactly. So I saved some of that money, put it away, and said, one day when I'm ready, I'm gonna do a voiceover demo, and that would get my foot into the world in terms of representation and all that stuff. Meanwhile, I was doing impression videos on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and I was kind of doing different characters and all that kind of stuff. And that was what kind of got my name out there in terms of people knowing who I was. But I needed to figure out a way from doing like impressions of other people's voices to like doing what I do, because the people that I'm doing impressions of, they're still alive and well and making a great living doing what they're doing. So I needed to figure out a way to make it my like do something that was original. So
Yeah.
did my demo, submitted that to an agent. Agent called me up, was like, yo, I mean, you sound great. Let's bring you on. And I've been working on voiceover since 2017, full time.
Wow.
So that was, long story short. There's been a lot of things in between there, but I didn't want to go
Yeah.
too long.
Nah, man, that's super dope and inspiring, man, to kind of fall into that, during the even the musical journey, which is super dope. So it seems like, once you kind of discover like this was a thing, was it like I guess your first approach was to reach out to an agent and kind of get representation and just kind of go that route?
Yeah, I mean, I could have. I think now, if I would have kind of did it differently, I should have got like a voiceover coach to help me understand copy more. I did
Okay.
one voiceover session, so I'll give myself that. I did one voiceover session to try to get myself acquainted with it. But at the time, I didn't have the money to get a multiple sessions with a coach. So
I see.
what I had to do was literally sit at the TV and transcribe what I was hearing from the commercials on TV, the trailers I was hearing, the promos I was like, everything, radio commercials. I would just sit there and just transcribe. And one of the things that I love about, being black and I just feel like our superpower is improvising and figuring out ways to make it happen,
Yeah.
no matter the circumstances. And so that's what I did. Like, I literally just sat there and transcribed and try to copy what I was hearing and change that into what I do. And then yeah, I created a demo. And there could have been two paths I could have taken. I could have said, you know what, I'm just going to pitch myself to these companies,
Hmm.
and I'm going to ask them, hey, can you give me an audition? If you have anything coming down the road, I would love to be a part of it or whatever. Or I could have, like I did, I submitted to an agent and allowed them to go hunt for those companies and allowed
Yeah.
them to be kind of the gateway. Because a lot of these companies, you call them and you ask them, hey, are you looking for a voiceover? They're like, get off my phone, kid. And then hang up,
Yeah.
and that's just kind of the nature of the business. So they need an agent to kind of help as a buffer there. So I just figured I didn't want to do that. I didn't feel like cold calling. That was not my ministry and or my gift.
Yeah.
And so I was like, bro, I'm gonna send it to an agent and try to work with an agent to do it.
Yeah, that's dope, man. The thing, like, and we like I had, man. Listen, growing up, I had like one of the biggest misconceptions about the voiceovers because you hear the big epic trailers and things like that, and I think what's so interesting about what you do is that it's really it's closely related to what I do. It's like producing music for TV and film, and then you hear the voiceover over the music that we produce. But I think it's so interesting because it seems like it's not just reading a script and then sending it off. It seems like there's some type of technique to how you read certain things. Like even watching your Instagram when you're kind of going through, each different line, you read the lines different like each time, or you'll like end on a different tone. Like, can you talk
Yeah,
about that? Like, is there a technique to producing these voiceovers?
absolutely. And it's interesting because a lot of people, because you're a musician, you understand what I'm doing.
Hmm.
And a lot of times it's hard to explain to people why I'm doing so many takes and stuff. So there is a technique. Um, for me, it's about, I'm going to give you first the option that you ask for, and then the
Hmm.
next options that I give, which we call ABC takes. So the A
Okay.
take is going to be what you ask for. The B and C takes, B will be different, and then C will be just completely different, to give them options. Because a lot of times in the edit bay, um, maybe that A take that they thought they wanted is probably not going to work for the spot that they cut. Maybe they need it shorter, they need it faster. And
Hmm.
so because I've given them three options, I've given them normal, medium, and then fast, they're
Hmm.
able to kind of move things around to their liking. So there is a technique to it. You have to also understand time. If they tell you, hey, you have to read this in 2.5 seconds, you need to be able to feel what those seconds are like. And so because I'm a musician, I know what time feels like. I know how many seconds have passed by. I can automatically kind of tell that,
Hmm.
and implement that into my read. So if I need to if I have a long sentence, I know where I need to speed up to kind of shave off time and where I need to slow down to give emphasis for the title. And
Yeah.
all of those things, you uh, uh, some of that stuff no one can really teach you. You just have to, kind of do it and do it over and over again and kind of have that type of response to it. But for me, it's about listening to what I'm doing and practicing, and being in those coaching sessions, like I said, that's very instrumental to that. So it's definitely not just because people say, I have a great voice. Everybody tells me that I got this amazing voice and I can talk real deep and all this real cool stuff. And I tell them, I'm like, yo, that's amazing, but just like production, you can have all these amazing machinery, all these hits and all these sound effects and whatever you have in your system, but if you don't know how to play any of it, looks like this keyboard right here. If I don't know how to play this keyboard at all, then it doesn't matter. It's just a nice looking keyboard.
Yeah.
So with voiceover, that's dope that you have a great voice, but do you know how to bring a copy to life? Do you know how to make it connect with other people? And do you know how to not make it sound like you're reading something? You know what I'm saying? Like, and stuttering and tonight on Fox, it sounds very versus tonight on Fox, it just sounds real natural. And so to be able to understand and discern that, it takes some time. And so there is a kind of a technician way about it when it comes to VO.
Got you. That's super dope, man. I see a question from my guy, The Realest Sounds. He wants to know, how long did it take you to get your very first placement for film and TV in this voiceover space?
Ooh, that's a great question. So I did a spot and it's interesting. This is kind of a controversial spot just because of how much it paid, and I didn't know what it was at the time. So I did I was on an online casting site or whatever, and they had put on audition for a specific company that I won't say the name of, but they sell like furniture and stuff like that.
Okay.
And they were this was for a Black Friday sale, and I auditioned for it and I booked it. Now that was like my first, that was 2016. So at that time, I probably was maybe 2 years into actually doing voiceover. So it took me a bit to get a actually running national ad. But the thing about it was a national ad. And if you know anything about national commercials and stuff, there are royalties and or residuals involved in it. And especially if it's a Class A ad, you're looking at quite a bit of money, somewhere between 25 grand and 30, some higher than that, depending on what brand.
Yeah.
Now this thing was supposed to be in that range, but because I didn't know a lot of what was supposed to be priced, what are the union rates for voiceover, I was excited that I got a commercial that's airing on Black Friday and it's going to masses, and people are like, I heard your voice, I didn't realize that company was supposed to go through a talent agency and supposed to find, and actually had a voice that they had under contract that was doing all their things. They paid several figures for that contract, but there was one more spot that they wanted to kind of leave off of that contract. So they went to like a random online site hoping to find like a diamond in the rough. And they find me. And I was just kind of like, I'll do it. And I didn't know at the time. And then later on I found out, I was like, yo, I was supposed to be eating real good for a few months, and I missed out on that entire opportunity. There's another opportunity that happened like that as well, but that was one of the ones that it's kind of like a bittersweet thing. But it was for that company for sure.
Man, that's crazy. Man, so I guess after that, where you kind of, I'm guessing you gained some wisdom from it and kind of moved a little bit differently after that. Is that what happened?
Yeah, well, yeah, man. I mean, I think that's what also incentivized me to get an agent, was because I didn't want to have to I mean, there are people who do it and do it well without an agent, and they're able to keep track of everything that's airing, keep track of all the usage, keep track of where they're going to put it next and where this, that, and third, and making sure they're following up with the clients on payments and stuff. But I know for me and the way I like to move, the way I like to do work, I'm really quick on how I do work, and I want to be efficient, get it out the door. Let me go spend time with my family. Let me go do other things, like I do music and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't have the bandwidth to sit there and try to track down all this stuff. And so I was like, listen, if it's going to get me more opportunities, if it's going to have me my money in order, it's going to have me just understanding what to quote, what not to quote, then I want to go down the agent route. So yeah, definitely went a different route after that scarring.
That's what's up, man. So man, listen, I have a couple questions, and I know the answers now, but these are some misconceptions that I had. When I was younger, I was ignorant. I didn't know. So the first one is, and this is specifically about voiceover, I used to think for some odd reason that they would like they would record the voiceover and then they would like pitch shift it down to make it sound deep. That was number one. You proven that that's not the case. So people who are in the voiceover space, is it just, do they, well, and I know there's different types of voices and, you know, characteristics, but do they look for people who just naturally have deep voices? And is that something you can control? Like, you know, it's like the deep, can you go as deep as you want, or is it just something that just has to be naturally there?
Yeah. So first answer is they don't go out looking for deep voices unless they do. So it's a case by case basis where, you know, maybe Arby's, for instance. If you heard the Arby's, we are, you know, that sound. I think it's Vin Rames who does that. But they specifically went to go look out for a deep voice. In this case, they went to a celebrity and that worked. But there are other commercials, believe it or not, sometimes having a deep voice will play against you.
Really?
Because it doesn't sound relatable to your average guy. If you turn on any commercial right now, a lot of what you're hearing, whether it's Coca-Cola, Visa, whatever TV commercial, a lot of them have actually more conversational tones, more just like everyday friendly tones. They're actors, so there is some acting in there, but it doesn't sound like call 1-800 what, and if it does sound that way, it's like a local commercial in, you know, Podunk, Texas or something like that, and they're wanting to go for that announcery read. But a lot of times you're looking for a conversational tone, and so they try to stay away from like the announcer sound, which deep voices tend to lend themselves to with the announcer side, unless you're doing movie trailers, and then they're obviously, they want it to be deep voice and signatured. And so no, you don't have to have that type of of range. Whether you can, for me, I do have a range where I'm able to play with the height of my voice. So I do Disney Plus commercials all the time, and that's not as like deep and barreling. It's more like coming soon on Disney Plus. You know, it's very happy, really upper in the register up here, and it's real, you know, bright and, you know, airy and all that stuff. And then obviously when I go to movie trailers, I deepen it down, and so now I'm speaking in this area here, and it's now a matter of switching it up. If I'm going to do something a little bit more medium size, I'll come up here, and now I'm speaking in a more where it's kind of the best of both worlds, and that's where my voice normally lies. Now, a lot of people have a specific range. You have like what you call true basses who really just everything they say sounds over here. They can't make it go high, they can't make it go low. It's all down here, you know. And then you have some who are like tenors who are just have that very high voice and they sound up here all the time. There's no weight to their voice or tenderness to their voice. All of those voices have places. Now, if you heard a tenor doing a movie trailer voice, you'd be like, that sounds weird, because we're so accustomed to hearing, like, you know. But if you hear a bass doing a kid's thing, you'd say it sound a little gimmicky or funny. So it just kind of like depends, and all of them are instruments. Just like, I guess, we know in production you're using different instruments and different sonics to get what you want. It's the same thing with the producers and editors who are working on this stuff. They're trying to figure out what's the right instrument for this project. It's a light family fun type of thing. Cool, let's use something a little bit more brighter for this instead of something more dark and or heavy. So yeah, you can try to extend your range. Your voice is a muscle, so you can try to grow it, but a lot of times people can probably grow another half step or whole step lower than their bottom range, and that's about it, or extend it. Extending it is a little bit, I guess, easier than getting lower, but that's another conversation for the vocal anatomy.
Dope. So it sounds similar to, you know, sound selection. When we're composing music for TV and film, it's like certain sounds are going to give you a certain vibe, and, you know, that's going to play a role in your success for a specific placement. So that's dope. Man, so okay, second misconception that I had was I thought that, again, using technology, I thought, like, when y'all read this stuff super fast, I was just like, they have to be just like time stretching this joint and speeding it up. Again, watching your Instagram page, I'm like, he's legit reading this stuff in real time, super fast. So like, talk about that. Like, does that
Yeah.
take practice? Because you're flying through these joints, bro.
That man, absolutely. Yeah, and actually I neglected to also answer on, the question on whether they deepen it. They deepen it if they're trying to do like an animation thing or a video game thing, but normally on commercials they try not to mess with the voice and make it deeper.
Okay.
But on the side of the speed thing, I'd say 99% of the time I'm speeding it up. I'm doing it all by myself.
Okay.
There are some occasions, and I've heard it, where they either at the end of a trailer or a commercial or whatever, they just did not have time in the spot, and they speed it themselves, but they'd rather not do that because it sounds so unnatural.
Okay.
And so I've just naturally, I'm a fast talker, so it wasn't too hard for me to like trying to be able to, when they say, hey, we need this done in like, we need you to read this legal in 3 seconds. I just had to sit there and kind of, for me, I have to say it over again. How long did it take you to get your very first placement for TV and film? How long did it take you for to get your first placement of TV and film? I got to kind of do that over and over again, until it starts to become just like easy. And so, yeah, that's after you do it so long, though, you kind of, you just start to become automatic. You don't even think about it. You just say the line and it just comes, a bullet flies. And a lot of times they have to slow me down because I try to rip through the tags as if I'm and one more thing is, like, because I've been hearing a lot of commercials and studying it so much, my mind has accustomed that read as a default. Instead of them saying, hey, can you go faster, they have to slow me down because when I hear legal, that's what it needs to happen instead of it being slowed down. So it's kind of one of those best of both worlds, I guess. But yeah, you're supposed to do it yourself, and sometimes the producer may be like, no, this is too slow, we'll speed it up in post. And it normally sounds like a little garbagey. Ain't gonna lie to you. You can't even hear it.
No doubt. Yeah, man, that's awesome, man. Just to see other musicians, and I always tell producers all the time, man, like, think about everything, every talent, every gift that you have, and like figure out a way to use it. And I feel like you've definitely done that because you're a musician and singer. And I know you guys, you have a group, King's Return, as well. So like, what's that balance like? Are you do you work on music as much as you do voiceovers, or is there like one that's kind of, you spend more time doing the other, and how do you kind of balance everything?
Yeah, it used to be more it's funny, it used to be music a lot more, and then it shifted to voiceover being like the main thing. And it's still the main thing, but now it's the music that I'm doing now is starting to kind of like creep on into that level of VO. And so yeah, even in my studio now, I've just kind of, everything is here for in case inspiration sparks musically. I have my keyboard here, and I also have my VO mic right here. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, right there. And just like everything is readily available to me in that open concept. And so I'm able to get done with the session and hop into vocal arranging immediately for my group and just work on that until the next session comes in. Then I'm like, okay, let me stop this and hop into that. And so, yeah, it's a balance that I don't think about too hard. There are days where I know I have to arrange for our group or do a vocal sample, because I do also do vocal samples for producers as well. I have a partner, Jarius Banks, who I work with, and we do harmonic vocal samples that I arrange for. We both arrange for, and so I had to set days of like, okay, so Thursday I'm gonna be doing about 10 vocal samples that I need to arrange for, and then I'll kind of block out maybe 2 hours of time within that, and I won't we just focus on arranging them. And then the rest of the time obviously is dealt to voiceover. So yeah, it is a balance, but it's not something that I think about too hard. Sometimes I have to be a little bit intentional about the time, but yeah, it's definitely a dance for sure.
Dope. So would you say like your your skills of like recording vocals and things like that, would you say that definitely transferred over into the voiceover work and kind of making the technical aspect of things a little easier for you?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
On so many levels. I was already ahead of the game when it came to recording myself, understanding what gear I'm gonna be using, what made sense. Like I had everything. I
Yeah.
really did. And it's rare to do that. If there's somebody who's just coming into voiceover, they normally are just kind of like, okay, like where do I start equipment wise? Why does this mic sound better on my voice than this mic? Like having those type of theories
Yeah.
I already had that because I was working on music with this kind of stuff, and so yeah, it helped a ton. And also in my work specifically, like I do work for Fox. I do a lot of their promos, and when we were what were we working? There was the one show that we worked on a couple years ago called The Four,
Okay.
and it was a Diddy show. It was a whole singing competition thing,
Yeah.
and it was one of those things where like they'll play you the spot and you have to read to picture, and some people don't know how difficult that is, but all you
Yeah.
hear is 3 beeps and then the picture starts. And the tough part about that is you only have about a couple chances before they're like, you got to go, we got to get somebody else.
Wow.
And so it's like I call it the Olympics of voiceover because it is really just it's hard. You have to you'll hear a 30-second spot. Here's the script, make it fit, and then you're going for it. So boom, tonight on The Four, boom. There's a clip from maybe a hit that you probably included in the spot or something. I don't know, but and I have to be able to see where those are in the script and read to that, and then when we're done, they cut it up and literally send it to air almost immediately. So I don't have time. There's no time to be like, I don't know. There's also a lot of money. There's also a lot of money involved in that kind of in promos.
Okay.
But being a musician has helped me understand tone. Like when I hear if it's like an upbeat, more hip hop feel, I know what tone I'm going to be using for it. If it's more dramatic, octave, like massive drums, doom, and then you hear the octave piano coming, whatever. Like
Yeah.
I need to know where my voice places within that.
Yeah.
And so that being a musician, a vocal ranger, and in that world has helped me a ton to understand context and yeah, that placement there. So
Man, that's
yeah.
dope. So man, so you've done some recent work on the video game Valorant. You're like the voice of KO. And I they love you out there, man. So like, what has that experience been like? Just working
Oh my
working
God.
on a video game, because it's just like, during the video game, KO saying like different things at different, like, are you just recording like words, just random words, and they just piece it together? Like how is that?
It's crazy, man. It's a life-changing opportunity to be able to work on these games. I'm a video game kind of nerd too, so to
Dope.
be able to hear myself on something like that, and I also worked on Call of Duty like shortly after that game,
Nice.
and it those sessions are massive. They're cut into like I think 8 or 9 sessions, 4 hours each. And we're talking, thousands of lines that you're reading. And you're screaming, you're yelling, you're sometimes I post on Instagram, some of the kind of things that I have to do when I'm doing like fighting scenes or fighting action moves or whatever. It
Yeah.
gets pretty graphic.
Yeah.
But no, it was incredible. There were long sessions but they were fun. I mean, to be able to be a character in the game is insane. That when you asked about like, do they change your voice? That is one character, KO, where they put kind of a robotic filter on my voice.
Okay.
It's you can still hear my tone, but they have like a kind of a modulator on it or whatever,
Hmm.
and it sounds really robotic and just kind of there are different effects that are happening when I'm speaking.
Yeah.
The one that I did for Call of Duty, the Jackal, was just my normal speaking voice with just an African accent.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, they're long sessions, and I'm so thankful for SAG-AFTRA because we just got a couple years ago we were actually on strike as the voice acting community for video games were on strike because there were issues where we would book a session for a video game and some directors, some studios would make us like do these blood curdling yells for hours on end.
Oh
And then I
gosh.
can't go and do a McDonald's commercial that's going to take care of a year's work of a year's worth of bills. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So they're not something that pays like residuals. I mean, you do a video game and you get paid for that 4 hour time, and then you're done. Consider yourself fired after that session until they
Wow.
call you back.
Yeah.
And so there's the only time you may get a residual is if a game, they have it now where if a game hits a specific threshold, you may get a back pay.
Okay.
A lot of companies have been doing it on the front end and saying, you know what, we're going to already pay you that back pay now, and just to kind of good faith there. But yeah, that's kind of the world where video games was, and now it's a lot more, I say, safer to get into that field because you're not blowing out your vocal. I mean, I've seen people, they come out there bleeding out of their mouth because of it's just gruesome stuff. I mean, think about all the video games, the early 2000s, middle 2000s, like it was some, like, you heard those screams and you're just like, I know he's not faking that, man. He's doing that hours on end. And so yeah, you can tear some things up doing it, but it's definitely a better place where it's at now. And it was KO, specifically Valorant, that community is amazing. Like, I get drawings and DMs, hundreds of DMs from people just like, I love what you did for this character, and I play him all the time, and it's just really amazing.
Yeah, that's super dope, man. Shout out to the new people in the stream. If you guys don't know, this is Gabe Kunda, voiceover actor and or voice actor / voiceover artist, or I don't know. What do you like to be referred to?
I like voice actor. Voice actor is fine.
Actor.
I feel like it does the entire thing. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's so interesting. So you mentioned SAG-AFTRA. Now, is that like the same organization that actors are in as well? So you kind of fall under that same category as a voice actor?
Absolutely. It's funny. I always poke people when they say, when are you going to do real acting? And I'm like, what do you mean? I do real acting. You just can't see my voice. My face, rather. Yeah. So yeah, no, we are part of the Screen Actors Guild, and AFTRA, kind of the Radio Federation, all that stuff. But gotcha. Yeah, we're part of the same umbrella, and we're voting members and all that stuff.
That's dope. Yeah, that's dope. I did when I first moved to Atlanta, I did like a bunch of extra work in some movies and shows and things like that. And there was, I remember working on one show, Anchorman 2, and there was another extra with us, and they pretty much gave her a line like on the spot on set, and then after she got that line, she had to fill out paperwork for like SAG and stuff like that, so she could kind of be a part of this super dope guild, pretty much. So yeah, that's pretty cool, man. So what do they?
It's funny. Fun fact about that is, like, that's why they love a loop group, which is a part of the voiceover world as well. Mm-hmm. Because loop groups will come in, and like the extras that are supposed to be talking, they don't want you to talk because they don't want to have to pay you and fill out that paper and to do all that. So they'll just kind of hire a loop group to do all that. And so I get to that's my fun. One of the things I do as well, I'll get into a studio and then I'll see a scene and I have to, maybe you're in the scene and I have to now voice you in that scene. And it's a really fun thing as well, because you get to kind of spot people in there and pretend that you're them. But anyway, all that to say,
wow,
kind of all in the same world.
Yeah, that's dope, man. I was talking to another composer friend of mine, and we were just talking about how just how our worlds are so close, like to the point to where he's been in sessions where they'll be working on what happened, I think they were working on a voiceover spot, and then the request for music had like just came up, and somebody was in the room that just knew how to do it, and it kind of created a situation where the music kind of met the voiceover, or just some dope opportunities, man. It's a really cool space for sure. Man, so man, this has been eye-opening. I've had 2 of my myths pretty much dismissed, which is dope. It's inspiring too, man, just to see it, because I don't think I've seen voice actor work like the way you show it on Instagram. I think you do a really great job at kind of displaying what that looks like behind the scenes. And it's really, really similar to, recording music, because when you're in the studio recording vocals, you're having them record the same line over and over and over
Over
again.
and
Try
over
it
again.
this way, try
Yeah.
it this way. And, you made a point about giving editors flexibility. So you're giving them multiple different versions to be able to work from. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of parallel in sync music and syncing your voice to picture in these these promos. So what's one of the most, I guess, most exciting projects that you've done in your career so far?
Oh man, I can go all day, man. The first one was live announcing the MTV Movie and TV Awards in
Okay.
2018.
Dope.
That was amazing. Black Panther had just came off of their incredible, just kind of a debut, and they were getting the awards, and I got a chance to announce all of them, and it was an amazing year. I literally. I was on the way to the bank to deposit one of my checks and stuff that I booked for commercial. Then I got a call. I was like, "You won't believe what just happened. They want you to do the MTV Movie TV Awards. They're flying you this way." And I was like, "What?" My life just
That's
crazy changed.
fire. Yeah.
And that one I could say, when I worked on Black Widow, that was my first Disney movie that I ever worked on, was
Okay.
Black Widow. That was at the end of 2019. And I just remember that specifically because my dream was to get in there with Disney and Marvel and work on their
Yes.
properties. And the call had came in, and when you get this type of, and it, but when you get somebody calling you, say, hey, they're requesting Gabe Kunda, they're requesting Clint.
Yeah.
They want you to read on this. They want you to play on this. That's what you want, because immediately you have cut the competition almost immediately, and now you get to show up and do your thing.
Yep.
And so I did it, and then they finished me on the spot, and I became the voice of the campaign. Funny enough, for like 2 years, because we went through a whole 2020 with not saying movies.
Oh yeah.
And then
COVID.
2021. We had to do another campaign, so it was a very interesting thing. And then working on Christopher Nolan's Tenet.
Okay.
I was the campaign voice for that as well. And the interesting part about that was he was approving I would send my voice over, and they would send it to him in real time, and he was approving my reads in real time, and they were like, yeah, he's liking what you're doing, and he was like, continue on. I'm like, I'm like one person removed from freaking
It's crazy.
Christopher Nolan. It's just like, man, black boy joy. It was a dream, man. That was another movie that took forever just because of the pandemic. Like, that was pushed on and pushed on and pushed on. But it was great. It was amazing. That. And then another project. Call of Duty was definitely, that was another highlight. I'm a Call of Duty game. I'm a gamer, like I said, and Call of Duty was something that I wept about when I got the call that they wanted me.
Yeah.
It was a lot of work. I ain't gonna hold you on that, man. There's a lot of work. But it was amazing. It was an incredible experience, and I was on billboards and all that. It was just a dream. So those are some of my favorites.
Yeah, man. It's always amazing to see, because when you're yourself, like, where you started, and the things that inspire you, and then when things come full circle, and now you're being called to do and work on the same things that you grew up loving and being inspired by. Like, it's really dope, man. That's fire. So being like a live announcer on award shows, like, what is that like? Do they put you in your own kind of room to do this, and do they cue you when to go, or is it what's that setup like?
Yeah, so part of it I did it at the studio where they were having the show at, and then the other part, because it was taped in between 2 days.
Okay.
And the other part I did it at home. You know what? I will throw that category of voiceover into the Olympics of voiceover as well. Okay. Just because you get one chance And like literally, it's not like, oh, we'll give you another chance. It's like you get one chance to say the name Taika Waititi's name right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you got to figure out a way. If it comes out sounding different,
Yeah.
you know, you are now, the show will then become a meme for the rest of your life, and so will you, and you will be played on clips. The announcer said his name like that, you know, and so that was the most daunting thing. I didn't get any sleep the night before. I was just so nervous out of my mind that I was going to mess up Tiffany Haddish's name. And I've said it 100 times over. I know who Tiffany Haddish is, but she just had an amazing year in 2018. She had an incredible year. And so I had to make sure that I didn't, you know, up next, it's Tiffany Haddish. That's all I had to say.
Yeah.
But it was so long for live announcing. And then, you know, you have other lines that are a little bit lengthier. You can't trip over your words. You have to sound natural, because the moment I trip over my words is the moment they said, who is this guy? Why can't he speak correct? You know, so right. And there's a lot of money writing. Everything is live. So anyway, that was a very interesting thing. You're set in a booth by yourself. It's kind of isolated. It's cold in there. They get you this book. You know, people are nice and everything, and they're helping you. Whatever you need, they'll give it to you. But when you're the announcer, you feel like the pressure is on you to make sure you have a great show. So,
man. So, okay, talking about being nervous, you know how some people, like, you know, you can literally hear the nerves, like their voice is shaking when they're nervous, right? Like, have you ever had that? And like, being a voice, like, how do you overcome that so you don't hear that shakiness, like, in a situation like that?
I have to fake the funk for me. There's a lot of times where I have to pretend in my mind that I am the greatest for this job. They came to me. They could have went to anybody else. And only I can do this. If they don't get it out of me, they're not going to get it anywhere else. And so I'll fake it and walk in, and I'm nervous as heck, but I have to pretend. And be like, you know what? No, this is my script. I'm going to read it the way I want to. Now, you know, sometimes you have a lot of cooks in the kitchen. You have about 9 directors in there, agencies in there listening in on the session, directing you on little words like they, like small stuff like that. And sometimes they'll give you line readings. Could you imagine, like, you're producing something and I'm sitting here as the one of your buyers, maybe for whatever network, and I'm like, actually, could you play this chord like this instead of the way you're doing it like that? And you're like, wait, hold on, no, you know, now I'm now seeping into that creative process, and then when I don't like it, then I say, well, just do it the way you've been always doing it. And it's like, what? That's what I was doing. And that is what it's like in voiceover in that set. And I just have to play it cool, and again, exude that confidence and truck through it, and then we can cry and whimp about it later. But no, for me, I fake it till I make it. I pretend as if I'm the greatest person in the room, and I'm here to make this copy sing. And that gets me through it. That's the mental thing I've got to do. And also, it's kind of in some way true. I mean, when they audition for a commercial, a national commercial, they're listening to about 100 voices. And so you have won over 100 talented union actors for a spot. You beat out celebrities and all this other stuff. Like, I mean, you're doing pretty well. So.
Man, that's huge, man, because I feel like a lot of people think, you know, just because you've had success in your career, or you have placements, or you work with some amazing brands, that you don't get nervous. And the truth is, like, nah, bro, like, we still get nervous, man. Like, even if an amazing client is calling us to do something, the nerves are always there. It never really goes away. But like you said, man, it's knowing and being confident that, you know, you're skillful at what you do. They called you because there's something that only you can do specifically, and you just have to believe that and keep replaying that in your mind, and kind of block out, you know, everything else that tries to come in, you know, when you're trying to execute and be great. So man, that's super encouraging to hear that. But yeah, that I was interested because, you know, being a producer, I can be nervous, but you ain't gonna hear it because I'm just playing a keyboard. But like, when your voice is your instrument You like, how do you cover that up? So that's dope, man. Seymour in the building. What's good, bro? Super dope, man. So man, so like I don't know if you can talk about it, but what's some current projects you're working on, or what's some things that what's like a dream
Ooh,
project that you would like to work on?
yeah. Man, a lot of the stuff that I'm working on now are under NDA, and so
Okay,
it's always a
understand.
weird thing with that.
Yep.
But I guess a dream job that I would want to do, I would love to live announce. Uh, oh man, I'd love to. One of my things is I'd love to live announce the Oscars.
Okay.
That would be incredible. And again, like I told you about the MTV Movie and TV Awards, I was scared out of my mind, but I feel like Oscars, I'll be scared out of my mind, but it'll be a different like achievement for just me and a lot of people that look like me.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that would it would be a dream come true.
Mhm.
Because I already work in the field of movie and TV. It would make sense to have the movie trailer guy live announce
Right.
the Oscars. And so
Yeah.
yeah. So I think that would be a cool situation. Yeah, that would be I think that's the biggest dream job. Another dream job is I literally maybe a couple of days ago just achieved it. Working on a a show for Netflix
Okay.
and as lead character,
Dope.
and that was like literally one of my on my dream boards, and that happened a couple of days ago. So now I get to
Dope.
cross that out
Yeah.
and chase after the next thing. But yeah, man, it's one of those things. I don't know if you ever feel like it, where a lot of the stuff that you dreamed about doing, you sometimes achieve, not that you achieve it very quickly, but
Mhm.
your hard work gets you to knocking out those things.
Yeah.
And so then you get to a point, it's like, okay, what's next? Like,
Yeah.
what's the next kind of hump pushover that pushes you out of your creative? Because I will even say this, like when I first started, before I started, like I feel like I was the most creative when I didn't have a lot, and when
Mm.
I was chasing after a thing, I
Mhm.
was like at the, because I think it was just a desperation of like, this is what I want to do as a dream. And so I was just thinking about anything I could to make something happen. And
Right.
as you get into it a little bit, obviously you start getting into the work, and that kind of distracts you from creating. But
Yeah.
yeah, I want to get back to that. I think that's a different side of me that I enjoy.
Yeah, that's dope, man. Congrats on that too, man. On
Thank you.
the lead role. That's super dope. Nice, man. So if there's someone who like wants to get started and there's kind of starting from scratch in the voiceover game, what are like what do the steps look like to get started in this space?
Yeah, I would definitely um reach out to a voiceover coach.
Okay.
There are plenty of them in LA. There's one I'll throw out, just kind of a shameless plug. Her name is Mary Lynn Wisner. She's out of LA, and
Okay.
literally one of the best voiceover coaches in the US, in my opinion. She's incredible, and she helped me a lot when I first got started in understanding commercial copy. There's also a site called I want to be a voiceactor.com
Okay.
that literally answers all voiceover questions on this website. I mean, it has tabs of like all the voiceover questions you can think of.
Mm-hmm.
They answer. It's a guy by the name of D. Bradley Baker. He's another amazing voice actor. You've heard his voice hundreds of times in animated movies and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But he made this site specifically for newbies and people that are interested in the site to see what they would need equipment wise, what they would need from the agency standpoint, what they would need, the tools that they would need to do this professionally.
Yeah.
And so that's a great site to go to. But that kind of the steps for me is definitely voiceover coach, voiceover demo. And then if you want to, you can either pitch that voiceover demo yourself, or you can go down my route and get a voiceover agent to help you get auditions, receive things that you probably wouldn't be able to have access to on your own.
Mm.
And then you could either enter to SAG and some health and pension and all that stuff and benefits and all that.
Dope.
But neither are is better than the other. I just prefer that way. because I'm able to take my wife in, if she's got any medical issues, or I
Yeah,
got a
man.
pension going waiting for me and all that stuff. So
It's good.
I enjoyed that lane.
Yeah, that's dope. I mean, those are things that we have to think about as creatives. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we get old and then life happens, man. Like, we're having a second baby this year. And
Congrats, man. Congrats.
yeah, dude. And it, like, if we didn't have insurance, bro, that bill would be massive. All right. So, it's important to have those things in place. While we're doing what we do and being creative and chasing our dreams. Man, dude, let's geek out real quick on some gear, because I know you love some mics, man. So what are your top 3 favorite mics and why?
Oh man. Okay. So the first one is the Rode NT1, and some of y'all may laugh at it. I love it because it is, for me, in my opinion, the affordable TLM 103. Like, if you can EQ that thing right, you can get it close to the Neumann if you do it right. And as a voiceover guy, it's just all encompassing. It gets the job done. It also has that flat frequency going on, flat sound. I feel like it's clean enough for what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second mic for me is the TLM 103 that I'm rocking right now. It's the smaller guy. And then the third mic, believe it or not, is a Sennheiser 416, and it's a shotgun microphone that they use in like production stuff. I love that. Well, hold on. The TLM-103, I love that because it has a warm sound, and it just does well in narration, animation, video games, things where you're talking a lot.
Okay.
Sennheiser 416 is super directional, so I could literally be in the back of a truck, and the truck is like, I've recorded in back of Ubers and all that stuff on that microphone, and because it's super directional, it only picks up what's in front of it, and so I can bring it up pretty close and read into it and get a pretty good take. So I take that when I'm traveling anywhere, whatever that may be in an uncontrolled environment acoustically. And then I got those mics funneling into an Apollo Twin. That's just, for me, all encompassing in terms of preamps and plugins and all that kind of stuff. It just allows for that. Obviously, it's all digital, so you're not, getting some type of, it has some integrity, but not rawness of the preamps you would normally get if it was individual.
Yeah.
And then I have that going into my Mac Mini.
Okay.
Which I just got a Mac Studio, by the way. It's incredible.
I'm waiting for mine to show up. Like, I ordered it couple weeks ago, so it's supposed to be here next month sometime. How you like it so far?
Oh my gosh, it's night and day. I have the 2018 Mac Mini, so it's a massive difference. Okay. Intel is probably eating their hearts out, but it's amazing. I can do whatever, play 4K footage, record, and do production all at the same time, and it not even break a sweat. But I'll do that, and then I also use Logic as my DAW. So that is everything that I'm running there.
Team Logic, man. So are you doing like the majority of your work just from the home studio or wherever you are at the time?
Yeah. I'd say about 80% of my work is done from home, and then sometimes I'll go into studio, or I'll fly out to LA to do studios there, and they're normally running Pro Tool sessions, or that just seems to be the standard there. But I because I went from GarageBand to Logic seems like the logical solution.
Exactly. Yep. It was the same for me, man. I got my first. I had an iBook in 2005, and then that was like the first Mac I had GarageBand, and then I haven't looked back since. I went from GarageBand to Logic Express to Logic Pro.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, man, I'm kind of locked in at this point.
Yeah, it's amazing, that one. And then other than that, that's all I use. And on the road, I'm using the Universal Audio, either my Volt or my Aero, which is really kind of plug and play. You put it in the Mac and it just turns on, and I'm good to go. I don't have to have an AC adapter and all that stuff. It's powered by the Thunderbolt. But so that's kind of my thing. And I'm recording in my car a lot of times. I'm driving up. If I need a session, I'll hop in to like next to McDonald's, connect to their Wi-Fi and record.
The car has decent acoustics though. Like, if you get in the car, man, it's just like, hey, Yeah, sounds pretty good. And nobody
Yeah.
would ever know.
Nope.
So
Nope.
next time you're listening to that epic Marvel trailer and it's Gabe, just know he was probably sitting next to McDonald's in his car when he recorded it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You wouldn't
Super
know.
dope, man. Listen, man, I won't hold you. I appreciate you taking the time to chop it up with us, man. And congrats again on all of your success. Looking forward to hearing more and following more on IG. Let the people know, man, where they can follow you, where they can learn more about you.
Absolutely. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all at Gabe Kunda. Also YouTube. I'm also Twitch streaming on Tuesday nights. A lot of Valorant, so you can see me on there trolling some people in game and stuff.
Nice.
So yeah, all at Gabe Kunda.
Nice. Dope, man. Well, listen, have a great rest of the weekend and everything else, man, you got going on, man. Much success. And yeah, man, that's it, man. I'm out. I appreciate everybody in the stream for coming through. Hopefully this has been super insightful for you. If it has, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And for all my followers that come back 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, we're doing live music reviews. So come back. I'm gonna take a break because your boy is hungry. I'm gonna eat real quick, and then we're gonna be back, man. So that's it. I'm out, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
All right. Peace.